Welcome, everybody, to a Delco Nerd Network hot take. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never seen a hot take of ours before, well, it's where a few friends like to get in a basement and we like to give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a TV show, and that TV show is HBO's Task. My name is Anthony Ragucci, and here to discuss with me, I have two very special guests. Over the rightmost, I was trying to do. No, well, yeah, right.
Depends on how you're looking at it.
My left, your right. A returning guest twice in 1 year. He's making himself known. Jack Mullen, welcome back, man.
Thank you for having me back, man. I feel like we should be talking in like hoagie mouth the whole time, and I should be saying yous and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
it's a shame I or nobody I feel like I've ever had on really has a hard like Delco accent.
Yeah, we'll get to that because I didn't think I have one either, but I've been told otherwise, so we'll get to it.
Yeah, and let me introduce the man in the middle, my cousin Joe Vizzarri. Welcome, Joe.
It's crazy to be here, and it's not a Christmas Eve or a Christmas Day dinner.
Yeah, man. I'm really happy to get you on. Like I was telling you, like off camera, you work in forensics, so this show is very relevant to what you do. But then you were on like a podcast. I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta ask Joe because he's definitely watching Task, obviously. And yeah, I'm really glad you're here. You're like the get, I feel, in terms of like knowledge base, not just on the TV, but like I could not talk to, hey, are they doing, is this like all right and stuff like that? There's one thing in the show that I'm sure you guys caught that I was like, that nobody says that. And it's the first episode where she says Delco and Monco
counties.
Like nobody says that. But like, you know what? They're spilling vernacular that they're not really explaining. I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know if I'm like have no idea. I'm not from Delaware County, Pennsylvania. I don't know the vernacular here. Like if I would have like picked up on like what that meant, because they never explain it.
Right.
So it's kind of like an interesting thought. But anyway, yes, we're talking about Task, and you know I'm really glad we're discussing this because, like we're saying, it's not only filmed here, it's based here, it's written by somebody who's from here. It encompasses what it is like to live in Delaware County, and I feel like there is a lot to talk about between screw the Delco side of it, but the show and everything like that. Joe, I'll have you go first. What did you think?
It did a lot of good work capturing the essence of not only just the law enforcement, forensics, like the investigation portion of what that show is about, but also what it meant to be in Delco.
Yeah.
I think Brad Ingelsby is very acutely aware of what it means to be from Delaware County and just from this area in general. We're loud.
Yeah.
We're loyal.
Yeah.
We'll tell you what we feel. And for him to really put the attention to detail to make sure that he captured Delaware County in its true form and then have it reflected in not only this series, but Mayor of Easttown,
Yeah,
too.
Absolutely.
I think he did a real good job with
He has it in one movie. I forget what it's called off the top of my head. It's like, I think the first thing he did. I don't think it's based in Delco, but I'm like, I want to watch it now. But yeah, that's awesome. I mostly kind of agree with you. It's Delaware County. I'm like, you watch this show, it like I feel like I'm like watching something happen down the street, which I mean, I guess I kind of am. You know, there's a scene that is supposed to be at Havertown Barnaby's, which is literally down the street from me. It's not there. It's at another bar in Delco. But like, I'm just like, yeah, I feel like I'm watching like some real thing unfold like in my backyard. That's really cool. And it's really special. I mean, I'm sure, you know, if you're not from Delaware County and you're watching this, like, you know, a show that was like filmed here or something like that, and you're all about it because it encompasses that. I feel like the Philadelphia area might get that, like M. Night with his stuff, but he's not like capturing like Delco. He's just capturing like Philly kind of vibe.
There's been little sprinkles of like trying to almost accidentally capture the Delco vibe. Like you have people like Bradley Cooper who you have Silver Linings Playbook and they're at the Lanark Diner. There's certain like little sprinkles of like, but there really hasn't been a deep attempt to capture it like we're seeing here and with Mayor of Easttown, where it's really trying to immerse you in this area, which like it almost has a cult following for one reason or another, good and bad reasons.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see how it plays out. And it was somewhat strange for me because I actually felt like the Delco aspect of this became a little bit of an obstacle that I had to traverse to enjoy the show.
Yeah, it's catering to us. We're biased.
Yeah,
right?
and it
of
was,
course we're gonna like it.
Yeah. So, but it felt like there was an obstacle. There were a couple obstacles where it felt too forced. And I understand that the viewership of the show, HBO is, it's a worldwide. People watch these shows in England. They watch everywhere. They watch them everywhere, right? So
right.
I understand that there's certain things that they have to sort of that can feel forced because they have to get the point, not a point across, but really try to paint this picture. But there were certain times, and I'm sure we'll talk about the accent more in depth, but there were certain things to me that I was like, oh, you're really laying it on heavy. Like they would be like, oh yeah, I just got back from the Ritas, or like I got to go to the Acme. Like there was like certain things where I was like, oh man, you're really named. They were like, they found 2 bodies behind the Ridley Park bowling alley, and I'm like, oh man, it felt like they were trying to force it too much. But then I was saying to myself like, it probably feels like that to me, but the people that don't understand,
exactly.
like they have
Yes,
to try to
I had
give
no
you that.
idea.
Yeah.
Lawrence Park, what the hell's that?
Yeah, right.
That one scene, I was like, this isn't Lawrence Park.
Right.
I was like, that's where I grew up. And speaking of growing up, I thought it would be interesting. Hopefully we're getting a lot of new listeners with this. This is like a pretty different kind of show than we're used to doing. So I think it'd be interesting to be like, hey, where are we from in Delaware County? And I guess I'll start. I was born in Drexel. You might know that. I don't know if you know that, but I've spent my whole life here. We moved to Broomall. My parents got divorced. We were in Newtown Square for a little while, and then Havertown. So I have been in Delaware County my entire life.
Yeah.
Jack, what about you?
I was born in Lansdowne. I moved to Broomall until I was like 5, and then Newtown Square from 5 to like 25 years old, basically. And then I'm in Conshohocken now, but yeah, Newtown Square, like, a couple towns over.
Yeah, Joe?
Yeah, same thing. Born in Drexel Hill, was there my pretty much entire life up until a few months ago.
Yeah.
Transplanted to Chester County. Do not claim them at all, but for as long as I can remember, was here because that's where I've been, was Delaware County.
Yeah. This show has really been awesome, truly to watch. And I kind of like how it's a one and done. I like how Brad Ingelsby is kind of like, yeah, I'm just gonna do a season, and then like I hopefully like you did with Mayor of Easttown, like, and this, like, I'm gonna do another show like this set in Delaware County that's just like a different group of people. Yeah, and I was kind of waiting for this. I'm like, are they gonna like, where's the like universe connect here? Where's the Marvel moment where it's like all connected, like, or like somebody like appears in the back of a shot? Like I was kind of expecting that, and to not see any sort. I mean, like it's in the same fucking place. Of course, there's going to be some connection, but like the characters is really what I was thinking. I was like, is he gonna do that?
I think there was one little Easter egg in the first episode when they were at that career fair.
Yeah,
one of
which
the
was
booths,
at Widener.
One of the booths I think was Easttown Township Police Department.
I think you're right. Yeah,
and I was like, all right, Mayor of Easttown, and then that was it.
Yeah. What would have been the heavy-handed is like, okay, I'm trying to think. Mayor doesn't die at the end of that, right? No. Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah, I'm like, if she just shows up or she's there or like something like that. But like, yeah, there's some restraint to like in the world where like every show is like some fucking multiverse shit to not, or like same shared universe to not do that and just be like, yeah, it's just based in Delaware County. And I don't know if you listen to like the after, like, I don't know, it's not like a podcast, like interview things they do.
Yeah.
He even said it's like there are like think about your own life. You don't like run into like all the, you know,
it
like,
doesn't
you're
happen
not,
like that.
why would you cross paths?
Yeah.
This is like a pretty big area. It's not like a small town. So that makes sense. Like you wouldn't be crossing over. But one thing my dad was kind of saying to me when I was watching the show is how fucking like depressing it is. And you know what's funny? I didn't really like think about that until he said it to me. I'm like, oh yeah. It is kind of really sad.
Oh yeah, it's very dark.
While it is like, it's not like a whodunit, but it's like it's sort of like both sides, and you're like watching what's gonna happen. Unlike Mayor of Easttown, where it's like it's a whodunit, so you're kind of like in it with her. What did you guys think of? I mean, go anywhere with this, with Robbie's storyline, and then with Tom Brandis' storyline. How it's like they're both like very fucked up, unique situations,
Yeah.
and then they're kind of come together with this like crime. Yeah, Jack, if you want to go for it.
Yeah, so I think the way that they structured this show, it was, to me, it felt more about the inspection of each of the characters and their lives than the actual crime aspect of it. It's not like it was a huge difference, but maybe like 60% of it was getting you to care about each of these characters, and then the 40% was the plot that had to do with the criminal aspect and so on and so forth. And you see this in there's certain things that don't necessarily contribute to the plot itself, but is strictly character building. So Mark Ruffalo's character Tom, he has a son who killed his wife and is currently in prison. And it's, I would say, the combined time in the show talking about that facet is like maybe a combined 25 minutes across all of it.
Yeah.
But you're just sort of setting these building blocks as to who he is as a character, right? And you have the same thing going on with Anthony Grasso, who's played by the
Fabian
cat.
Frankel.
What is it?
Fabian Frankel.
Frankel. Okay.
And you know why I know him? He's in House of the Dragon. And so when he's
he's in House of the Dragon.
he's a piece of shit in that show, or he became a piece of shit. And I'm just like,
Yeah, kind of a piece
great.
of kind of
He's
a piece
not
of
a
shit.
piece
in
of
the show.
shit. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Fabian
Right.
Piece of
Frankel.
shit.
Fabian Frankel playing Anthony Grasso.
Yes, yeah.
You see it with him when I believe it's his father comes over after it like starts to leak out that he's the reason.
I don't.
What,
Is
I
it his
thought that was
dad?
like his boss.
I
his
think
boss?
that's so. One thing I don't love is I do get confused with the Dark Arts of like who everyone is. I think he's some like enforcer in the
Yeah.
Dark Arts.
He's someone in the
and
Dark
he's
Arts.
like kind of his one like
But
like
there's like
main
it
connection.
sort of feels like he's a father figure because the conversation they have, and there's like this weird dynamic that happens in the kitchen there.
Yeah.
Where it sort of feels like a father figure to him, and you
Yeah.
can see that it's like he doesn't want to do this, but he has been raised and basically groomed
Right.
to be this type of person. And you get all of these little snippets of the background of these people. And I think they made it a point to go really in depth as to what these characters are and why they are that, which I really, really appreciated because the character building I thought was incredible. And there were certain characters like who's Elizabeth, right? Who is
Lizzie,
who's somewhat dating, sort of hooking up with Grasso's character, and they did this whole thing where she's like the worst. She's basically the worst, right? She's just not cut out for the job. But you're seeing them try to build to like, you know what, maybe she can actually make this work, and she becomes a little bit of like a tiny little bit of a hero in there. She does like but she's not cut out for it. But they're building it up this whole time to be like, okay, this is what we have, and this is what is made of Task. These are the pieces that make up Task. So I really enjoyed how they approached the characters in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely way different, like you said, approach from Marabie's Town, where it was all right, I want to get to know this character, but there's also the whodunit aspect.
Right, we're
to
all
it.
figuring out.
You already know from the beginning, like,
Yeah.
these are the two trains that are going to collide with each other at some point.
Right, we're just
So you
watching.
get that opportunity to get to know the character better, watch their development, what their overall arc in the entire series is. I think they did a really good job at capturing that and allowing the viewer to get more invested in not only the criminal aspect and what's the investigation looking like, but really empathizing and sympathizing with these characters too.
Yeah, so
like you said, it's dark if you
Yeah.
really start to
Think
about
dissect what everything's going on.
Yeah. In regards to like the formation of a task force, Joe, is that so is how they go about it like accurate to like how it would actually be?
Not only that, and then it all depends on like what's going on. So for that, you had the string of robberies and break-ins and all the crime aspect from what was going on within that group. So they're recognizing, yeah, we've got an issue. This is going to be our specific team to handle that. There's that aspect of how investigations work. Then there's times where you just start progressing through like maybe one case, and now you have to start looping in extra partners There's been times
Right.
that
So it would grow. As
yeah,
you're saying,
like
as
there's
the
been
case
times
grew.
that I've had cases right off the bat. I'm like, all right, state police, FBI, like I already know everybody's involved. Here's what's going on. Here's maybe why they're involved already. And then I've had cases where it's me and one small police department. Okay, now we're looping in DEA for this reason, and we're getting this party involved. So they did a decent job at putting
so
together.
it sounds like there's a lot of fat that would probably be boring for a television show.
Right.
So they're gonna make it interesting, and we're gonna stick with these 4 characters who are all like, I guess, our age and like
Right.
pretty green in terms of experience, and like Lizzie is like kind of the fuck up of her department. You kind of find out, and yeah, I find her kind of like endearing for some reason. Maybe
Yeah.
if I had to deal with her as a person,
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
would
say, that
think
makes
otherwise.
makes one of us. I was like, she is
she's
not
like-
at all cut out for this. This is the worst hire I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, like I never really thought that like she was bad for her job. I always kind of thought it's like, yeah, like I don't know how much action like a Delaware County, officer or any sort of law enforcement forensics, whatever. I mean, Joe, you would know like how much action you're seeing if they're drawing their guns a lot. So like again, we're not a small town, we're not a small county, but like we're not Philadelphia.
Right.
I feel like it's a much different thing. But again, who am I to
but
say
then
that?
Bill
Her
does-
background too is a state trooper, and I
Right.
have a lot of friends who are state troopers. Work with a lot of them. I'm not knocking them, but like one of the things that you joke about state troopers, they're on the highway. All they care about is pulling people over.
Right,
And now
yeah.
here you go. You're throwing this character on a federal task force that is hunting this group of biker gang members and trying to solve these break-ins. What was the stereotype state trooper that they went with, and like, is she going from just pulling people over on the blue route
Right,
to now?
right, being really involved in like a
Right.
big
Yeah.
investigation. What was I about to say? The Dark Hearts, the biker gang thing. Funny enough, our mutual friend Mike Lasacci, we were talking about, because I'm like, I'm biker gangs in Delco. I'm like, what? So apparently, again, and Joe, you will probably know this. There's a big pagan presence in Conshohocken.
So, I mean, I don't know about Conshohocken specifically. That's
what he told me.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm pretty
Masach
sure-
is the historical resource for that. But yeah, biker gangs in Delco for sure, man. Like,
Yeah, I
I,
had
yeah.
no idea.
And I'm pretty sure that shooting in West Norton that they had at that Wawa, they locked up pagans from that. It was
Yeah, I just saw something. I was like, what is this, an episode of Task? I'm like, there's like a bunch of biker gang. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, so like that part at first I was kind of like, huh. Like I feel like again, like you would, if you know, if you don't, you don't kind of thing. But yeah, it was a cool kind of like, there's like a drug ring growing on, and then you finding out the background between Robbie and what was his brother's name?
His brother.
Yeah, who got killed. Bob, not Bobby.
No.
It began with a B, right?
was it Jason?
No, Jason's.
Is it Billy?
It's Billy.
Billy.
There we
Billy,
go.
right?
Yeah, with Billy, and like again, like same with Tom, same with Robbie. Like something's going on here, and we're not quite being filled in on the specific details, because I mean we don't know that. I think we know early on that Maeve's father is killed, and then we find
Right.
out that like, oh, he got killed by the Dark Hearts. Oh, he was a Dark Heart, and like it kind of gets deeper and deeper, and it's like, oh, okay, now it makes sense why Robbie and the other guy are going after them,
And not just killed by the Dark Hearts, but killed by Jason, who is,
Right,
you
yeah.
the main guy in the Dark Hearts.
It's got a lot of layers of writing. Like it's really complex storytelling. To a point where like it is kind of hard to like sit here and talk about and sort of review in like probably like a granular fashion like we're used to doing on this podcast, because it is like it's like yeah, like the show is like a very slow progression toward like the last 2 episodes where they have that confrontation in what eventually I think it's the Locust Lake area, right, of the Poconos, because they end up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like putting this together. I'm like, okay, that's plausible. It's like an hour and a half from here. I'm like, that makes sense. But then like Lizzie gets killed, and then you find out about Grasso. I didn't see that coming at all.
No, I thought it was going to be. I guess I
captain
thought it was
drops
going to be
I
the
thought it was-
captain
Either
or the sergeant. What is she?
She's a captain.
Like-
She's a captain.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think.
I forget what she is, like from the FBI.
Yeah, because she has a moment where she like jumps
She's
on the
like,
phone.
we got a problem.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, it's her.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
never
the
would have guessed.
supervisory agent. I was like, no, she's shady.
Yeah, so I guess that was just meant to throw us off.
Yeah, her name's
Right.
McGinty in the show. I thought I like
Isn't she
miss
Steph from the Goonies.
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure.
I thought I like like I read it wrong in the scene. Like I thought I just misunderstood or
Right,
like missed something. Like I was like, did I look down at my phone or something? But
Yeah.
the way that it was like going, and there's also a portion a couple episodes later where it starts to get brought up. Like, yeah, we've got a rat. Like there's a leak, something.
Oh, she's in the Goonies.
She sure is.
She's in the Goonies.
Yep, she's Steph.
My God,
interesting
In her
pull.
youth, that is a pull. But yeah, it seems like, unless I just totally read it wrong, but it seemed like they
No.
were trying to lead us down that direction and then just flipped it entirely.
Right,
on
because
its
then
head.
all of a sudden Grosso is talking to Jason and one of the other dark arts, and it's like, wait.
Yeah,
Right.
Did I miss something here?
Yeah.
I think that's the reveal. They just decide to just pull it like real quick, and I'm like, huh? Like, yeah, like it did really. I mean, it's an interesting way to do it because you're like, I guess. I think when Trio, when we talk about this kind of stuff, he's always like, yeah, I saw this comment. And I'm like, I'm not like thinking about that. Like,
No, I'm terrible
It's not
at
my
that
like
stuff.
objective to like sort of ruin the fun. It's like, oh, I bet it's this guy.
I'm so bad at that stuff. Yeah, I never guess anything right.
Yeah,
but I'm never
yeah.
even like trying to guess it. I'm just sort of like letting
Yeah,
it play out. I just have the
Right.
question marks and I don't go down the avenues of trying to find the answers to them really.
Yeah, but to see that flip, I was like, oh shit. And then, we're kind of getting in the story, and then it's like, fuck, Fabian Frankel's a piece of shit in this show too. Great.
Yeah.
I did kind of, not to jump to the end, we're jumping all over the place, but I did find his ending a bit unsatisfactory. Like, we don't really even see what happens to
Right.
him. Because I mean, we know we're not getting a second season. The book is closing here, and we're left with him, with the gunshot wound, which looked pretty damn fatal, and then to see him survive, and then we don't even hear about like a sentencing or like
Right.
some in depth with that. I was kind of upset there. I think it was the only thread that I thought was like, I think we kind of deserve to like tie it up at least a little bit here.
And I'm really surprised about how, like you said, they played that out. The episode before that, where Mark Ruffalo's character is like, I'm going to come for you. I
Right.
really expected there to be that same dynamic of the Tom and Robbie. And then you just had him in a hospital bed, and you're like, all right, see ya.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not to say the writing was bad or kind of like fell through. It just seemed like, I don't know, or maybe they didn't want to
Yeah,
put
I
such
think-
a hard stamp on it. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're looking at a show that had 7 episodes, right? And
Yeah,
you
not a
had
lot of
so
time.
much that you're trying to jam into that. Like we think of, speaking of Fabian Frankel and being in House of the Dragon, like to use that as a comparison. I believe this most recent season was only 7 episodes for House of the Dragon. I don't
Probably something close.
I don't
6,
think
7,
it-
or 8.
yeah, I don't
That's
think it hit
that's
10.
That's the number they
But
like.
when I
nowadays.
compare the two, there were one of the problems I had with this most recent season of House of the Dragon was I felt like there was a lot of emptiness within it. And with this show, there was so much packed into each episode that I think they were trying to pick and choose what they wanted to go full throttle with and what they felt they had to like reel in a little bit. It's the way that they handled Grasso's character. I almost feel like they purposefully did it that way and left it as a little quasi cliffhanger as a sort of way to say like, corruption happens. It exists in these fields. I don't know that for sure, but it seems
Yes.
seems like something they're trying to push, right? Seems
Yeah.
like something they're trying to push. So I think it's a little bit of a cliffhanger of like the corruption sometimes might be handled in the sense of like either him dying or him being sentenced or whatever, or it might happen. It might repeat itself. This cycle may continue. So I think that may have been a writing decision to kind of leave it up in the air as far as his character, because you don't really know. There's nothing solidified with
And
it.
that was his whole thing, like as a character too, that he was investigated once before for this.
Yeah.
They could never find anything solid. And
That's kind of wild.
Here
That
he
like
is
that
again.
comes out and it's like, what the fuck? It's like, yeah, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
how did it even get put here?
And what cracked me up is like here's a character that's supposed to be on a federal task force. Like when I had to go down to the FBI building in DC, I had myself convinced like I was a terrorist and they were going to find something just for that background.
I did something.
Check to
They're
get
going
to like he's on a task force and they missed that he was under investigation.
So do you think that's like totally like bullshit? Like there's no way that would have happened.
It depends on who's doing the background checking, or
Right.
they just rubber stamping, or
Right.
Is the person who did the background check also getting money from the Dark Hearts to
Right.
let it go past so that they can like
Right.
I don't know.
a lot too. Going back to, does corruption exist in these fields? I've seen a lot of stuff get swept under rugs, and I'm not going to say what stuff, but
that's interesting. That's
there,
really cool
there
to
are
hear.
a
It
lot
kinda
of
fucked up.
things that I have seen that like
Yeah, I believe it.
it's blowing up to be this giant like black eye. We don't know like how we're going to recover from this, and then boop, gone.
Yeah, and then they're like, okay, task is done. See you guys.
Right.
And then I get that's the FBI
Yeah.
that comes in and sort of like takes the operation, and then they sort of go like it's not really AWOL, but like rogue, and essentially like start working like when they're not supposed to. Is that a thing that happens?
You've got people.
This is like
that-
this is like TV shit.
Yeah, it's TV shit. But there's also times like, and I see it with my field. What am I working with? Who am I working with? And if I think that they're being deficient, maybe do I start to branch out and try and get information from avenues that maybe I don't have
Right, off the
necessarily that purview, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
I've had cases that I felt the different agencies that I was working with weren't doing much. So I'm sitting there like, I'm going to get cell records. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that. In my field, like, why am I getting cell phone records? But
Right.
then it all goes
not a
back. I'm
character on
like,
a
here's
TV
what
show.
I found. So a lot of it I feel like was played up for TV, but
Yeah.
there's times where it happens. I'm guilty of it.
Yeah. But it's like, again, it's kind of like main character syndrome where like, Tom Brand is clearly a good guy, and then going to continue to be a good guy throughout this whole process. And speaking of being a good guy, the whole thing with Sam and like Robbie taking on Sam and sort of like, oh fuck kind of moment. We just killed this kid's parents, and there's a kid like sleeping on a fucking like unfinished basement like floor.
Yeah.
Wild circumstance.
Right.
And he just like takes him, not really because like, I guess because what else am I gonna do, but like I also have kids at home. He also has his own kids at home and his brother's kids at home, so like he's a father and a stepfather, so it seems like a very like natural thing for him to do. And then he like, it's not like he doesn't give a shit. He
Right.
seems like genuinely feels bad for him, but then he he's caught up in the all right, I'm trying to like sell these drugs to get the money to then get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
He's like kind of being pulled between being a piece of shit and not being a
Right.
piece of shit at the same time.
And I looked at that specifically, like not only for Robbie, but for Tom too, like as their penance for what they've done in their life. Like, especially Tom coming from the religious background
Yeah.
before he was an agent.
Yeah.
Robbie goes into this house, kills this kid's parents, and is like, oh shit, like, what am I going to do now? Is it him making up for what he did? Is it him covering his ass? But then in the last episode, once they do find him, Tom taking him in and looking at it like, is he trying to redo what happened with his son that's now in jail?
Yeah, and I think his priest friend kind of like says that to him, and it's like, is this like, I know it's probably what you think is best for you. You're trying to get penance and like,
Right.
make up for like the one bad thing that happened to the son you did adopt. Like you're trying to do it again, but like maybe that's not good for him, and he ends up giving him away. And I'm even like, I don't think you're in like the greatest position to be adopting another kid.
That's such an incredible take to the writers essentially are. I didn't even think about it this way, but it really is penance, and there are these religious undertones beneath the entire show that slowly pop up. Obviously Tom's background is the main portion of it, but there are a lot of things that pop up that do have the religious undertones, and there's a lot of questions just based on ethics. Like there's so many ethical questions baked into the show. A huge one is obviously if you look at it on paper, Robbie killing this kid's parents, killing Sam's parents, and then kidnapping him and bring him to his house, and there being a literal manhunt for him and this child. on paper that's terrible. It's awful, right?
Right.
But then you like kind of like peel back the layers of the onion, and you're like, well, the kid was sleeping in a like ratty ass basement. His parents were awful people. And he's taken out of that scenario. So it's like this ethical thing of he's taken out of that scenario. He has the time of his life at the house. He loves playing with the chickens.
Go hang out with Gertie.
Right, and then at the end of it, he's, Tom Brandis is considered, despite his flaws that he has, obviously, as all humans do, he's considered a good guy, and Sam ends up with Tom at the end of the show. So the ethics behind it are, yeah, he did kill this kid's parents and kidnap him, but if you look at the like full picture here, that kid was set up for failure with his life. There's no way that kid was coming out of that scenario with like a decent life. And now he kind of has this chance where, Tom lives in this nicer neighborhood. It seems like his family is figuring it out with everything that's going on. And, Sam has a chance at a normal life, quote unquote normal. So, yeah, you get into, there's a lot of ethical questions, and there's a lot of religious undertones that go on throughout the show as well.
Fun fact about Tom Brandis and where he lives. I know the street where that house is. It's down the road. It's literally off Westchester Pike. So you know where that Starbucks is in Broomall, where that shopping center used to be before it burned down?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2 streets down. It's not Spencer, it's Lindbergh. That's where that house is.
That?
And I know that because shout out to my old friend Anthony Angelucci. We went to St. Pius together, and I used to spend a lot of time at his house as a kid. And I'm like, I know this house.
Yeah.
Like the back. I'm like, I've seen this house before. And I don't talk too much to Anthony anymore, but I sent a picture. Like, there's a few shots in the first episode of the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a picture of it, and I'm like, tell me this doesn't look like your parents' house. And he goes, it's like, are you watching Task?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, they filmed back there, like, at some point. So it's not his parents' house, but it's a house on his street.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking got it, man. I felt like so happy.
Do they say the town? They say he lives in Radnor, right? Do they say that he lives in Radnor in the show? Where his house is situated?
That's actually
I don't think they say.
No, so it's Broomall.
It's filmed there, right? But it's
Yeah.
Do they say where it is? I can't remember.
I don't know. But fun fact, I also did drive by when they were filming there because I saw security trucks on Westchester Pike, and I think it was common knowledge at this point that Brad Ingelsby was filming a show. This is probably like 23.
3 or 4,
Yeah. Because I remember, Preston and Steve did some interviews with like everybody when Task was like on, and even before. And I remember they were talking about it. It's like, oh yeah, they're in the area for filming. So I drove past while they were filming, which was like pretty cool. I feel like the Lanark Diner scene too. It's like they had to get that in there.
Right.
Gotta slip those in. Yeah.
And as soon as they came up in booths, I was like, Lanark Diner. I was like, please show the silver lining plaque.
yeah. I don't. Yeah, they were in a booth, but I feel like they were in like 1 or 2 behind it. It's been redone, and I think I've been in there when it was redone.
And Lanark Diner, if you don't put a plaque up there now, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, they're definitely going to. Jack, you were telling a story about Cut Above beforehand, but I need you to repeat that.
Yeah, so I believe it's episode 2 when they're like first getting the Task house set up, and he's like cleaning everything up, and he's like getting the cobwebs. There's like this whole the very like tropey, like, all right, fresh start.
Yeah.
When they're doing all that, there's a scene where he's eating a hoagie, and I don't believe that he says Cut Above straight up, but I know that it is a Cut Above hoagie that he's eating because a friend of mine's uncle was Mark Ruffalo was seen in Cut Above getting a hoagie for filming that day because he was like wanting to get into the character as much as possible, and instead of having someone from someone on set be like, hey, go down and get the Cut Above Italian,
get like
no
17 hoagies.
Right, yeah, like instead of doing that, it was like Ruffalo wanted to go and like experience it more. For those that don't know, Cut Above is a legendary deli in Newtown Square where I grew up and where Gooch lived for a little bit. But yeah, it was kind of cool to see that, and I'm like, oh, he's got the seeded roll, good choice. I'm like, is that light mayo? What's he got going on over there? And I'm like looking over, but yeah, I thought that was cool from Mark Ruffalo. Ruffalo's the best. Anything he's in is an automatic.
What
watch
do you
for
think
me.
of him not having a Delco accent?
So I think the three of us are sitting at this table right now, and you lived in, where'd you say you were from originally and where you grew up?
Drexel Hill.
Okay. And then we're from the Marple Newtown area, right? right away from you talking, I noticed that you have a heavier Delco accent than us.
Yeah.
Just from geographical location, right? So I don't think it's the most absurd thing that Ruffalo's character didn't have a heavier accent, because I think what the writers and the director are trying to get at here is Ruffalo's character was born and raised and is a certain type of Delconian, right?
Right.
And then you have Robbie and the others that are the other side of Delco. There's a very large disparity between the people who financially, for the people who grew up in Radnor, which is Delaware County, and a lot of the houses in Radnor are massive and they're very wealthy people. And then other parts of Delaware County, like you get all the way down into the weeds there, and it's a totally different financial income. The household income is completely different, and it seems to coincide as far as the thickness of the Delco accent. Where you grew up in Delco, it has a different level of that thickness. So I think it makes some sense and was an actual calculated decision to not have him have that thick of an accent.
Yeah, I would agree. And yeah, like I was saying in the beginning, when I was talking about accents, like I don't have one. Neither does Trio. But yeah, Joe definitely does. Between the two of us, you can hear the difference. And I'm like, yeah, not everyone you encounter from this area talks like that. And I remember a few of my friends were like, yeah, Maeve sounds so fake. I'm like, I don't know, dude. Some people sound like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and real, I can't even like pretend to do a Delco accent. I just got to stick like hoagie in there and like,
yeah,
wah,
I mean,
wah, you know,
yeah,
like, I can't even imitate it, and I live here.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I had said the same thing to a couple of my friends that are from the Pennsylvania area. So they're from more of like middle Pennsylvania. And they were also watching the show, and I was like, yeah, I like it a lot, but I feel like the Delco accent is just like laid on a little thick sometimes. I was like, we don't really talk like that.
With Maeve specifically.
Yeah,
Maeve,
and I was like, I feel like we don't really talk like that. And they were like, shout out to Barkley and Kira. They were like, Jackie, when you get animated about something, like you 100% sound like that. And I was like, oh,
and
shit.
And it happens
really know that.
with, oh my God, I forget Robbie's actor's name, but when he gets mad, the Delco definitely like comes out hard.
Yeah. Tom Pelfrey plays Robbie.
I don't, he's been in a lot of stuff, but I know him. He was in the Marvel show Iron Fist. That's what I know him from. But yeah. Pretty like good cast all around. I feel like all the actors are really good. Interesting fact, most of them are like Irish and English.
I mean,
which is
Maeve
an interesting pick.
Yeah, Maeve's from the UK, and she's Amelia Jones. I saw her in an interview.
Lizzie is from Ireland.
She's from Ireland.
I'm like, I couldn't imagine. I mean, English trying to do this accent, like you're like British or like have like a totally different thing. I'm like, that sounds like real difficult. But they did a good job. I didn't have any complaints. I mean, I feel like you have like some of those like that scumbag guy who lived in. I think that they said he lived in Lawrence Park when they raided his house and. Like that guy, I'm like, oh, that's a Delco trash guy. Like I've seen that guy before. Yeah. He's a white Delco trash guy, and he talks exactly like it, and he has his home looks exactly like it. All the homes too looked like they were built in the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah,
no, there were no new houses, which again I think is fine. But they looked lived in. They looked like, again, like not old, but like. That somebody like lives in this house. It's not just oh, here's this like modern looking kitchen, and it's like like my kitchen like isn't the original.
Like
kitchen.
Grasso's house, like you've been in Grasso's house 50,000 times, going to friends' house and stuff like that. Layout is like we've all been in that exact. We've all been in that exact. So I think it's great that they tried to just trying to give viewers that aren't from Delaware County this information of what the architecture for houses were like looking like when they were built, because you don't really get that from like, oh yeah, Grasso lives in a townhome in media. Like you don't get that feel. So they're just trying to give you that little more background of like, hey, this is kind of what Delco looked like when it was originally starting to be built up and the sort of style that they were going for with their houses.
And it does a great job with capturing all the different parts of Delco. You've got the row homes, you've got the houses that are on a little bit more land, the houses that single family, I'm 50 feet from my neighbor.
Then Robbie's house, I'm in the fucking middle of nowhere in the woods. Yeah, which is also a thing. And I forget where they said he lived.
So I think I don't know if I misheard this, but I think their house that they're living in is actually outside of Delaware County.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I
I think
almost
you're
want to
right.
say they were closer to like Pottstown area or something. Like I think they were out there pretty far.
Yeah, there was like
I'm gonna look that
specific
up.
And then
town.
isn't the
Wow.
house that they're working out of in Kennett Square?
Yeah, I definitely heard Kennett Square.
That's what I'm remembering. Is it that house actually in Kennett Square? Do you know?
I don't know if
I'm
it's
not
actually
sure.
there.
Yeah.
That was just their version
Yeah.
of Kennett.
The Rita shout out was pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
I'm surprised there wasn't any cheesesteak references. Not one. Which again I think is an easy thing to do. Like a slam dunk.
But is that more
Right.
of like a Philly thing than a Delco thing?
And they did it with Mayor too. Like, is he going to keep recycling the?
The Wawa cups were outrageous in
right.
Marionstown. They did that SNL skit where they all have Wawa cups, and I'm like, yeah, this is like it is kind of egregious, but like not probably incorrect. I'm like, you got some options, Dunkin' and Starbucks, but yeah, Wawa. Like most people are probably going to Wawa.
Yeah,
for
and
their
I'll tell
coffee.
you, working at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and then I'm like, all right, Wawa again,
Right.
Wawa again.
Right.
Here I am, 12 o'clock.
Here I am on
Wawa again.
the scene with a Wawa cup. Are you allowed to like drink? Like, would that be realistic? Would you have like a drink like while you're like staring at a deceased body or on a crime scene? Yeah.
I'll sit there.
Yeah.
I'll eat in the parking lot of Wawa before I move, or I'll have it
Right.
finished by the time.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
pulling
thanks.
off.
Yeah, here's your coffee, and you're like passing it over the body. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else we kind of missed. We talk about the dark arts. I think that was like personally the dark arts and the characters there were kind of the weakest part for me because I feel like I didn't fully grasp who the hell everyone was and their exact connection and their rankings in the organization. Like what? Like I couldn't even tell you the guy's name, the older guy, who like
Right.
dies naked in the river. Like I'm like I couldn't even tell you his name, and I liked his character, and like I felt he was like kind of necessary, but like he just kind of felt like he like came in, and I never got an explanation or like exactly like who he was. So like it was hard for me to like put it together. Even now, I'm like, what? Like obviously he was a higher rank than Jason, but who exactly was he? And then he like goes after his wife and stuff like that. Oh, we didn't talk about that thread with Jason's wife and Robbie and her kind of being the inside person.
Yeah. I thought that was the best attempt at making us more aware of the characters within the Dark Hearts and the
Right.
intertwining. It just didn't really hammer much home for me. Like she's obviously helping out Robbie and that's going on, but they're trying to get you to be like, okay, you should really care about these characters now because like you're going to get some information here, but nothing really clicked for me within the Dark Hearts. I didn't have this pure hatred for Jason where I would consider him the main villain, right?
Sure.
There's some writing you get these main villains, especially in, not to go back to like the Thrones, but in Game of Thrones, like I had a deep hatred for Joffrey. Like I had a deep hatred
Right.
for these characters. And Jason didn't really have that for me. It was more of like, yeah, he's the bad guy, but I didn't really care too much. So I wish there was more of an emphasis on getting us to really dislike those people if that's the way they wanted to go with it. The whole theme of the show is like everyone has good and bad, and you've got Robbie in this like yin and yang between Robbie and Tom, and
Right.
and each of them have their values. So like if you wanted to go that route and try to give Jason these sort of
Antagonist. qualities.
yeah, and give him these antagonist qualities, but also kind of do that portion of the yin and yang where it's like, well, he's also this guy.
Yeah, we never.
Right.
You don't really get the redeeming factor with him
Yeah,
ever. Yeah,
and
he
he
has
just
a
kind of-
family. That's kind of it.
Yeah, he's just kind of
right?
like in purgatory between like I'd never actually have like a hatred for the guy. If anything, I have more of a hatred for Perry. Perry's the like actual head of that branch of the Dark Hearts, and like Jason is taking on.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
yeah,
And
Perry, that's his
he
name.
drowns Jason's wife with his bare hands in the quarry there.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm like, oh, this sick fuck. But that's really the only thing that gets me to that point of
Yeah.
like Jason
Yeah.
doesn't really have that for me.
Yeah, and I'm like thinking about Mayor of Easttown, and like, because I feel like the point of that show is to show that like Mayor's really good at her job, but a piece of shit at home. And she's not. But like, would you call her? Is she? I think the term is duro antagonist when you're like both, because like we don't really know who the bad guy is until the end, and then he kills what the fuck's his name? Guy who plays fucking
Evan
quick.
Peters.
Thank you, Evan Peters. Spoilers. And he gets killed, and you're like, oh, okay, now I really hate this guy. And they, they build like that relationship up, and it's like, they get into that house, and he gets killed like immediately. But again, like who that villain is, who that person is, in really the important part about it. And I think it's interesting you bring that up because I didn't really think about it like that. Yeah, the antagonist is like, it's not very clearly. I mean, it's Jason and Perry, but like they're not. Perry's kind of more of a piece of shit, but like you don't hate them.
No, it's just like, yeah, they're
It's, like,
bad
not
guys, but
written
it
to
doesn't
be
pull
like
the
that.
right strings for me as to like have
Maybe
me
that's the
actually go
point.
into it.
Like you were saying, maybe they wrote him like that.
Yeah, it's
them
possible
like
because
that
they're
on
trying to
purpose.
find that like the yin and yang balance within, which is like a theme. This, like we were talking about, this show is very heavily based on themes and ethics and like you said, the religious undertones. So it's possible that they were going that route, but it's also possible that we're just thinking too deep into it and the writing wasn't that good to make you hate them.
Maybe. Do you have anything in your notes that we didn't hit?
No. So there is. I did want to touch upon, not within my notes, but just off the top of my head,
Sure.
Maeve's played by Amelia Jones, who's, I believe she's British.
Yes.
And the way that I saw her on an interview after the show had ended, and I saw her interview, I think it was like on one of the late night shows.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, wow, this girl is gorgeous. And I thought it was very interesting how hard the show tried to make her just look shot out. Like they really
Yeah,
tried to
she
make
does.
her look grimy and have like the grimiest accent. I thought it was very interesting that they went that route with it. That was something that
I got to interrupt and say it feels like Jack could probably use his imagination here. It feels like somebody we went to Marple with, not like literally, but like the character.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's somebody who's like you go to high school with. They don't have a good family. They're kind of like alternate like lifestyle. Like
They showed up in the Cookie Monster pajamas, like eating hot Cheetos.
Right. Yeah, no, it's again, that's not to put anyone down, but just to say like that characterization of Maeve feels very real to my experience.
Right.
Growing
Yeah. So
up
it's
in a public school. in
It
Delaware
seems
County.
like they were like, the director was like, we all know this girl from like we know.
I went to high school with this girl.
Right. We got to slip one of these in. So yeah, everything felt very calculated, and I thought that was cool, and it was nice to see the deep dives and the little deep cuts of, to the non-Delconian, Maeve is just this person that's like, oh yeah, she's a little rough around the edges, but then being from Delco, like we all know that exact girl that they're making her out to be. So it's very interesting to see something like that, and I appreciated it.
Joe, anything that we didn't get to that you're thinking about that you want to bring up?
I just appreciated the finer details that they put into this time. Like,
You think Mayor of Easttown didn't have those finer details?
Mayor of Easttown had some of those details, but that was its own town of Easttown that's actually in Chester County.
Fictitious,
like,
yeah.
so- and a lot of what you saw this go around was true, genuine, like, this is Delaware County. Like, I'm stupid. I'm looking at the police cars and all the different aspects like that. Like, looking and seeing the FBI, all right, that's the Roundhouse at least. And on Tom's paperwork, he's an agent out of the Newtown Square office, which that's where an FBI residency agent office is. Like, here's a Chester police car that they're looking at. Here's an Aston police car.
They used the
And
correct
them
logos and
starting
stuff?
to like really pick up on these towns. What do they actually look like, and incorporating that end of it into the series. I thought that was a really big departure from Mayor of Easttown, with it just being its own fictitious version of a Delco town.
Right.
For them
An
to
amalgam
really,
of stuff. Yeah.
For them to really start to be like, all right, here's this section of the county, here's that section of the county, and taking them across all areas of the county. Like, you got the Lanark Diner scene, you've got things down in Broomall.
We're going to Booth Wynn. Yeah.
going to
Like
Booth Wynn,
place
right.
place of Delco that like I definitely don't know. And yeah, like again, if you're not from here, Delaware County is a big fucking place. Like they're like and what Jack said, the how would you put it? The financial like difference.
Yeah, just like
Yeah,
the disparity of the like
The
the
socioeconomics. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, of the different towns within Delaware County, and it is really different. It's not Like Broomall is much different than Upper Darby. Upper Darby's much rougher. I mean, you would know, you grew up there and you went to Upper Darby High School, and it's and like like there are stigmas for each town and kind of like or like parishes.
Yeah.
That was something, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of talk of Catholicism in the show, but like a very typical interaction with somebody from Delco. Oh, where'd you go to like elementary school, or like, oh, like what's your parish?
Right.
I've been told that's a weird question to ask somebody if you're not from here. What's your parish? But like here, it's like, oh, I went to St. Anne's. You immediately know where that person's from. Or I went to Pice. You know where that person's from. Dots. Like you know exactly where that person is from. Oh, do you know so and so? That's that's usually the follow up question. I think you make a really good point. Getting rid of the fictitious town was a good idea because it was they were able to really hone in on like the reality of it instead of like, all right, we're gonna do a fictitious town in Delaware County and kind of incorporate everything into it, but it's not real.
And I am so stupid. So my one friend was a set medic for when they filmed Mayor of Easttown. So he would send me the call sheets and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go see where they filmed this location, that location. Yeah. And it was truly a conglomerate, not only of Delco, but places outside of Delco. Like the police stations, the train station in Coatesville, the first house from the first episode where she's going to look for the Prowler. That's in Marcus Hawk. Delaware County, pick a direction on the compass and it'll take you to a whole new world.
And I'm kind of okay. Like, again, we were talking about the Lawrence Park thing and it's like, okay, that's clearly not Lawrence Park. But like, again, if you're not from there, you're not going to know that. But obviously, like, you probably don't have access to film everywhere.
Right.
Like, and you're writing a show, you want to write it a certain way. You want to make sure that house looks a certain way. But like, I don't know, like, again, this is probably from like your difference between you're writing a script and then you're like, again, I don't know if you know how the film authority works when like filming around here. It's like, okay, you only have access to like these areas. I'm sure you can't just do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Like okay, we're going to film here and I know it's in Upper Darby, but we're gonna pretend it's fucking Gladwin or something like that. Like I'm okay with that. Like this is the logistics of just filming in like a suburban area.
Yeah, it's a combination of trying to paint a picture of like where these people live and but also the logistics of like, well, if we really wanted to film in Lawrence Park, it's like pretty busy back here. There's like some businesses. We can't just like have them halt traffic for like, it's sort of the logistics get into it. So I totally get it.
Yeah. And they got to get, permits and shit and permission to be like, okay, we're going to film in this zone and it's going to be from here to here and it's going to be sectioned off. It's not like, okay, let's just go to, we're just going to go to like, Sussex off of Lawrence Road and just film there. All right. Yeah. It's not like that. So like, I can forgive that, but man, like after I finish the show, it's like, fuck, I just can't wait to see what Brad Ingelsby does next. I think he's found this bag of like, I guess it's a limited series, I think technically. Limited series filmed here. I think he did it once, he did it twice, like let's do it again. Let's just keep going and like doing this. I'm curious if he like I don't know if he like why he focuses on crime, but I'm curious if he would like maybe he wouldn't do crime. I feel like like that's the common theme here, that they're all crime shows. It feels like like another season of True Detective where it's like a totally different thing. But it's based in an area. Any final thoughts, Jack, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, it's been sick having you on the podcast, dude, and sitting next to you, and because you having that perspective and what you do for work, like that's fascinating, and the fact that we get to talk about it and have your background knowledge has been awesome. I consider it a privilege, man, because that's a sick job. And the fact that you have these little kernels of information, I'm like, oh no shit, I didn't know.
That's something totally would have been
great choice of guest, Ragucci. If you ever need someone to like talk about data or something, just let me know. I'll hop on. If you ever want to talk about data, I got you, bro. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, dude. That's awesome.
You bring more to offer than your job, Jack. It may not be relevant to the podcast all the time, but I like what you have to say.
Appreciate that,
Joe.
Brad Ingelsby did it again. I think he did a good job, not only bringing characters into our homes that we really started to grow with, but introducing to the world yet again the character that is Delco.
Yeah.
And what it means to be from here, live here, die here. And
Yeah.
not me anymore, baby. I'm in Chester County now, but
To live and die in Delco.
to live and die in Delco. But I think if he's going to do it again, he's got a really good character base in doing it in Delco again.
Yeah. I'm curious to see. Award shows don't matter, but I always like to see like what wins and what's being nominated.
Right.
Because Mayor of Easttown,
cleaned house.
Did it clean up? Because I hadn't watched it when the Emmys happened, but I remember it being up for a lot. So I'm curious if that's going to happen with Task. I feel like I didn't. I mean, even with Mayor of Easttown, I didn't feel like I heard a lot of people watching it, but not. It's not like a show, again, like House of Dragons or like fucking Last of Us, for example, where you're going on Twitter and everyone's fucking talking about it. I don't feel like that it's that kind of show. I'm curious of like what the numbers were for this, especially being like, we'll call it the season 2 of a successful first season show.
Yeah.
I'm curious there. But yeah, I really liked it. And I feel like as we talked, I like found the nitpicks, and yeah, the Dark Hearts is really sort of that could have been done better, or maybe the writing could have been different to sort of make it better. But guys, I really appreciate your time and attention here and you coming on, to lend your opinions and your knowledge, especially you, Joe. Yeah, that was like, I don't even know why I didn't even I guess I did think about it, but I just was like, I've had people decline coming on the podcast. It's like, yeah, it's not my kind of thing. It's like, totally get it. It is kind of like a very different sort of thing. Not everybody can like. It's like a your public speaking course in college is like kind of getting on a podcast. So I appreciate both your time, Joe. Before we go out, you were on a podcast recently. I don't know if you want to pimp that, and you also. I guess this is just me being like, you should talk about this. Like, you're on an episode of Abbott Elementary.
I tried to get on an episode, so I ended up getting into the section of the Phillies game where they were filming. Didn't make it on it, but
okay. So
got the credit for it, so I'm happy. My IMDb page has got that posted.
Hell yeah,
I was there.
Hell yeah,
for that game.
I'd be telling people I'm an actor, dude.
I literally for that game had a ticket to that game because I've got season tickets to the Phillies, then walked around, found where they were filming, and bought the most
Delco thing ever, by the way.
And then I was like, all right, I'm here. The other podcast that I was on not too long ago, it's called Inside the Morgue. It's a couple of my coworkers.
Yeah, I'll have it linked.
They put together a podcast that they go and look at all the different true crime shows, CSIs, NCIS, and they sit and they're like, all right, is this real? Is it bullshit? So
yeah.
This is my third podcast.
Sick concept.
You've done 3.
And
what was the other one?
I'm glad that I'm on this kind of podcast now. The first one that I ever did, it was Dark Down East. It was a true crime podcast. And I remember listening to that. And so I'm sitting there reading reports, like telling this presenter what this stuff means in terms of
so it's
investigation
very
and forensics.
Yeah.
And then I'm listening to
Not
the
casual.
episode and she's like, and we have experts. I'm like, holy shit, I'm an expert.
I'm an expert. Hell yeah.
So,
I'm an expert. I'm an
way more
actor.
Casual. Absolutely love this. And
Yeah, thanks for coming
glad
on.
to do it with a cousin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love that.
I don't go to everyone for a podcast, so like, especially with this show. When Trio, I mean, we talked about in those podcasts where I literally was like, dude, you got to do this for me. You got to watch this show. Like, I really want to review this. We got to do this. And he recently got engaged. We haven't talked about it on the podcast, but he's posted in the Discord. It's public information.
Congratulations, Trio. Congrats. Spoiler alert again.
and he's not a show watcher. He's much more of a gamer. And like, I get it. Like, we talk about this all the time. And I think, Jack, when you were on for Night Rain, we were talking about there's so much fucking content. It's hard to like, you can't consume it all. So you pick and choose. And I was just like, I don't know, like, I don't even know who I'm going to ask to review this. I don't really know who's watching it. And ironically, or coincidentally, you both put up Instagram stories. I'm like, oh fuck, I got to ask them. I didn't even think about you, Jack, that you may be watching this. Cause we've always talked about like, oh, we want to get you on for more film stuff. Cause we've done 2 game reviews. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, man. If there's anything that my eyes can stare at that's going to keep me busy, I'm probably going to be watching it. So if you ever need me on for anything.
Yeah. And I always tell people, I'm like, if you're watching something, you want to come on and you just ask me. I don't know what you're fucking doing. Like, I know what I'm doing. And I got to sometimes it's like, oh, easy mark. I know who's going to play that game. But yeah. So this was like definitely a motley crew for a podcast, but I feel like I had the best people for it. So I appreciate you guys coming on.
Appreciate it, man.
Jack, I figure the answer is no, but is there anything you would like to shout out? Because I gave Joe, so I feel like I have to give you the opportunity.
No, I got nothing to plug.
To make some plugs.
I got nothing to plug. Again, if you reach out to Harmland Media for all of your advertising needs. That's about all I got for you. But thank you for having me on, man. It was a pleasure. Honestly, sitting next to you with your background. Incredible. So appreciate it, Gooch.
Well, if you've been watching live on twitch.tv/Delco Network, we really appreciate your time. You can find this podcast, just about everywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network on your favorite podcast service, and youtube.com/Delco Nerd Network, or on facebook.com/Delco Nerd Network, and anywhere with an @ at Delco Nerds. You can find all this information on our website, DelcoNerdNetwork.com. And if you're even feeling so, I don't know, I was going to say generous, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's generous. You can email us at DelcoNerdNetwork or at DelcoNerds@gmail.com with your thoughts, questions, concerns, anything, information, feedback you got for us. I'll most likely be handling it, and Trio. We'll probably talk about it. But for Jack, for Joe, my name is Anthony Ragucci. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.